Welcome to the Travel Squad podcast, Quarantine YouTube edition. Today we're going to be talking to you all about our travel stories that we've come across of people traveling with bad travel etiquette. I'm Jamal.
Dana.
Brittany.
And I'm Kim. And like Jamal said, we have a weekly travel podcast called the Travel Squad Podcast, where we feature travel stories, tips, inspiration, and advice. But since people aren't traveling too much right now, we're taking to YouTube to travel virtually. I'm in Dubai, and share some of our funny travel memories, then give you some advice for when you do get back on the road.
Yeah, we're all here traveling virtually. Kim said she's in Dubai. Jamal's in Plitvice in Croatia.
Yes.
I'm in Europe. And Zana, where are you?
I am in my backyard enjoying my beautiful snapdragon flowers behind me.
They are absolutely beautiful. And like Jamal said, today we're talking all about bad travel etiquette, and we're going to be throwing some shade on some of the bad travel etiquette that we've seen while we've traveled. And it's going to be filled with lots of fun stories for you guys.
Yes, because you know what? People are animals. That's not to say that we're not animals sometimes too, give or take. But in any case, we're super excited, and thanks for joining us.
Yeah, and although you can't control how people act around you, you can definitely control how you act around other people. And don't be one of these douchers that have bad travel etiquette, because believe me, we've seen it all. And you definitely don't want to be that person. And right off the bat, where we normally see bad travel etiquette, and this is where you can be a good human being, is at the airport at the check-in counter.
Yeah, there's lines and people get frustrated and people want certain things and they may not be getting them, or their baggage is overweight and they have to pay more to take something out. It's a big point of frustration. People lose their cool often on, but there is so much that you can get out of just being a little bit nice to that counter person. Jamal's really good about going up and being, how's your day? How are you? And we've gotten some really awesome perks just for being nice to those people.
And I gotta say, don't try to cut someone in line, especially if you try to cut us. I will let you know so nicely that, hey, there's a line. And don't try to push past me or anything like that. That is my biggest pet peeve, and I will call you out. Don't try to cut me.
And like Jamal was saying, at the check-in counter, you can be so nice. Jamal and I had booked separate from Zana and Kim in terms of our flight. So we weren't seated together on a flight that we were going to take from San Diego to London, I believe. And so Jamal was just so polite to her, hey, we're traveling as a group, we didn't book together, but is there any possibility you can seat us together? And just making sure, she knows that we're being nice and we want to be respectful, but also, can you do us this favor? And just being nice and asking them how their day is can go a really long way.
Or even calling them by their name. You'd be amazed how many people make checking in an inhumane process. I mean, one, from people cutting, I've seen people who are flying economy thinking they're smart, hot shit, and going into the business class and then having to be turned back around because they tell them they don't have it. So that's one thing rude to do in general. But even not being nice to the check-in attendants, you just have to be really nice to them. I can't tell you how many times I've seen people just be completely unfriendly to them. And don't start off the trip wrong by being one of those people. Definitely be nice to them at the check-in counter.
They have so much power. So it's why do you want to be mean to someone who has power? And there's actually 2 sentences that will get you very far. 1, 5 words. Thank you for your help. And it seems so simple, but it's so much nicer than just thank you. But thank you for your help. And then the second sentence, 4 words. I appreciate your help. Another one, 3 words. I appreciate you. And you'd be amazed. I appreciate you. People tell me back all the time, oh, thank you. I appreciate you too. They're just dumbfounded that you said that, because no one says that.
So then that's true, then. Very good point. So for the next subject, which I just want to touch on, there was nothing that I was going to do for the next story to make this lady happy, no matter what I said. If I apologized, if I thanked her, it was going to go down the way it was going to go down. And the way that it went down was not in my favor. We were at the London airport, and on me. I brought my own American TSA pre-check bag for my liquids. And apparently in London, I learned that you actually have to put it in the London specific bag. So no matter if you already have your liquids packed in a container, you have to take them out and put them in the London approved bag. And then you have to be able to seal it closed. And the TSA lady at the London airport,
Their version of TSA.
yeah, their version of TSA, she was just so angry. In general, Zaina and I were watching her in line. Everyone was watching her in line. And we're like, we do not want to be placed in that line, because she was just so rude to every single person she interacted with. She was just berating them, just yelling at them. She was being super insensitive. And when I got up there, she was telling me, like, you need to unpack your stuff and put them in again. You need to take your time. Zaina was trying to be calm and like help me out, but no matter what we did and no matter what we said, she was going to act that way anyways.
Yeah, but we didn't choose which line we go to. Like, they had someone there telling you which line to go to. So I was ahead of Brittany, so he told me to go to her line, and I'm like, shit. So I go to her line, and we just got off of obviously an international flight to London, and we did bring, we got free travel bags from the flight attendants because we did our upgrade tip. And so if you guys want to know how to get upgraded to first class or business class for free, make sure that you leave a 5-star review and send it to us. We'll give you that information at the end of the episode, but it always works. And if it doesn't work because it's a full flight, then they usually give you a whole bunch of goodies. So they like loaded us up with goodies because it was a free flight. And I didn't have any liquids, but I did have that bag. And that bag, I think, had like maybe mouthwash and toothpaste. So she looked at me and she like very accusingly told me, "You have liquids?" in a question kind of way. And she scared me. So I pulled that bag out because I didn't know whether or not it was going to like get flagged. But because she scared me, it made me like I was delayed. And because I was delayed, that's how Brittany ended up right next to me. And then she started to yell at Brittany. And it's like one of those things where she wouldn't stop yelling at Brittany. Like, I don't even know how to describe it, but she was like so condescending. And Brittany was trying to put stuff in the bag, and she was telling Brittany that she was doing it the wrong way. She was laughing at Brittany. And it took everything I had not to say anything to her, because I felt like if I said anything to her, I would miss my flight and I'd be in a back room doing a strip cavity search. Well, not me doing it, me having it on me.
I'm sure she would enjoy doing that to you.
I was about to say, I'm sure Zaina would want that cavity search. Maybe. That might be a thing. I don't know.
But you know, it's one of those things where you don't think about, like, if you make it out of the United States and your TSA liquid bag goes through, you don't think that you're going to get stopped anywhere else because you've already made it through security once, and you don't realize, like, sometimes you have to go through security again, depending on the airport you land at. And so I just wasn't expecting that situation, but it was a lesson for me as well. She might think I had bad travel etiquette, not having the bag already packed before I got there.
She could have just been really, really mean because no one was nice to her for the whole day, giving her bad travel etiquette. So she was just reflecting it on everybody else. So, I mean, you never know. Could have been both ways, but definitely be nice to them, even if they're bitches like that lady was a bitch in London, huh?
Well, exactly. That's the point. Is Brittany had bad etiquette and not paying attention and thinking she was above the rules. And this lady,
I didn't think I was above the rules.
This lady was probably going to be that way whether you were nice or not. But I got into the better line, and so my bag got flagged because I also wasn't properly packed up. But the person that searched my bag, you know, there's several people waiting and it takes forever for them to go through it. So instead of standing there with a mean look on my face, rolling my eyes, being impatient, I was, you know, patiently waiting while Brittany got berated by the other lady while I was waiting for my bag. was very pleasant to the person, and this person didn't make me zip up the bag and let me go through with more liquids than I was supposed to. So
I was fortunate to be in that side of the line with you, Kim. We were done way before Zaina and Brittany, and we're like, what's going on? It's taking forever for these people. But even
I was about to
even before we got designated to our lines, I did see the lady who Brittany and Zaina had. She was mean to people in front too. But
and it's like the same thing. Like if you see them saying, take out your laptop, take off your shoes, just do it before you get through the line, because you're going to be holding up everyone and making the experience worse for yourself and the TSA people.
Right.
I really don't think we do though, because but that's not something that Brittany would do. So I do think it is a learning experience, because I wasn't expecting for the fact that you actually had to zip it up. And so in fact, one of the things that happened was it got to the point where my bag was zipped up and it just barely zipped up. And so Brittany's trying to zip up hers, and now she has to choose between face cream and toothpaste. And so the lady is like, better choose one, better choose one, better choose one. And so not kidding, guys, not kidding. So then Brittany chooses the toothpaste over the face cream, and she's like, I would have chosen the face cream. You chose wrong. Who chooses toothpaste over the face cream? You can get toothpaste anywhere. Hardcore me, you guys. It was a sight to see. She was an animal.
In a proper London accent, huh?
In a proper London accent. Absolutely.
If you're going to be berated, might as well have someone with a good accent and give it to you, I guess. But anyway, that's talking about in the airport, but let's talk about when we're leaving the airport and about to get on the plane. And quite honestly, I have to admit, we've had a little bit of bad etiquette, maybe once or twice, but I feel like this one was at least with due and good reason. So obviously, when they have boarding groups, when to come on, if you're boarding group A, B, C, D, E, whatever, go with your boarding group. Only one time, though, or maybe two, I take that back, have we actually been boarding group E, and we're like, let's try to go with C and D and see if they catch us. But it's because we were on a smaller plane, and they were trying to say we might run out of overhead space, and we didn't want to check our bags. And I admit in that moment we were being selfish, but
why didn't we want to check our bags?
Well, I don't know. Why don't you remind me?
Wait, I'd like to give a little bit of context. So they were telling us that if you're D or E or F, whatever, basically A through C, you're probably going to get to put your luggage up above. But if you're anything after that, you're not going to. So we're looking for volunteers. We need 3 volunteers to put their luggages, to check their luggage on the plane. Obviously it's going to be free. So Jamal's like, I wonder, we're 4 people. Let's go to them and let them know that if we, we're 4 people, if we volunteer to check our luggage, do we get free drink tickets? And so the lady looked at Jamal and she, no. And so Jamal's like, okay. And then he walks off. And so we're talking, how crazy is that? They're looking for 3 volunteers. We're sitting here telling them that we are 4 and we will volunteer to do it. Are you going to give us, not are you going to give us something, but hey, is there some kind of incentive to do it? And she said no. So we walked away. So it's fuck it, dude. Let's go with group C.
And we went with group C, and we got to put our luggage on the plane and keep it with us the whole time. We didn't have to check that.
I've definitely seen people try it though and then get rejected because they're boarding with the wrong group, and then I kind of laugh to myself and enjoy that moment.
Yeah, I will say this. I'm going to call ourselves out because we did it, and we're talking travel etiquette, and we did it, no doubt. But selfishly, we had a reason. We were getting in at 11 p.m. We didn't want to check our luggage. But if it's not a situation where they're calling out, hey, there's not going to be any room left above or anything like that, don't be that doucher and do it then. Just wait your turn. But if you want to be selfish, if you don't really need to check want to check your bag,
I will say this. If I was by myself, it's not something I probably would have done. But with group mentality and that group thing, we're all going to do it. So I'm going to go with you guys and do it. But I don't think I have the balls to do that myself.
If I did it on my own and they're like, excuse me, ma'am, you're group F, I would have been like, I'm so sorry. I didn't hear. I thought you guys said group F. Okay.
Play dumb.
Well, speaking of overhead space, I think Kim has a story about one of the last times we flew. She saw something happen with a passenger and a bag for the overhead.
I think it was that same flight that was running out of space. And like I've said this before, Alaska Airlines, get your overhead bin space shit together. Like,
Yeah.
come on.
Last plane, we were on a tiny plane, man.
I know. But anyway, so one of the things that always bothers me is that once you have your stuff in the overhead bin, people will come in and try to move it to fit theirs in. But this person didn't even have that kind of a courtesy. There was a small space left, but their duffel wouldn't fit completely in it so that the bin would close. So instead of finding a different space or asking for help, this person just put their duffel in with it sticking out. Like, of course it's not going to close. We can't fly like that. But they just didn't give a fuck and were like, not my problem. So then the flight attendant had to come by, move things around, get the duffel moved. And it's like, come on, man. But gotta do what you gotta do, Alaska.
Flight where during like all the overhead bins are closed, but once you take off, like it's so filled that it can't stay closed anymore. And it just like pops open while you're like taking off.
I've been on a couple flights where the overhead bins have popped open during takeoff because it's so shaky. I definitely have on a couple of that. A little nerve-wracking. But once you're in the air, this is where serious travel and flight etiquette comes into play. And let's talk a little bit about reclining the seat. And as we know, you're not allowed to have your seat recline during takeoff or landing, and they have it that way for safety reasons in case there's an emergency and you need to evacuate. And I've seen so many people try to do that. One time we were on a flight leaving Mexico City, coming back to Tijuana to just cross the border, get back home to San Diego. And somebody just had the seat straight up reclined on me, like right as we were taxiing about to take off, and the flight attendant was walking by, and I was already so aggravated.
He was already reclined before we even sat. I remember because you and Brittany was trying to be nice and take that spot, and you were trying to fight her for the niceness and not make her sit there, and you sat there.
Yeah.
And gum.
Yeah, and there was gum on it, and I was already upset because that was the very trip that I got my phone stolen from me like 3-4 hours earlier on our way to the airport. So I was just so pissed that it was reclined, and I wasn't even going to say anything because I was already just so upset. I didn't want to talk to anybody. So Zaina had to step in and tell the flight attendant, like, hey, like he's reclined, and then the flight attendant took care of the situation. But I mean, who reclines the seat like before you take off?
I just asked her, hey, for security, shouldn't his seat be up? And she was like, and then she told him to lift his seat up. Just play dumb.
Well, Jamal was so upset, but I was trying to be kind and take that seat because I knew, like, I'm smaller, I can fit in that seat better, but Jamal's also really polite and doesn't want me to suffer, so he tries to take the seat from me. So then he gets even more frustrated because we're fighting about who's going to take what seat. Just let me take the seat.
Fun to watch Jamal and Brittany fighting over like who's trying to be nice to each other. Like when we were in Chicago, they fought over who was going to eat the pizza with or without mushrooms. Without mushrooms.
Because we had to cater to Kim. I just want to throw that out there.
Me?
Yeah, you.
But while we're talking about reclining the seat, there are so many more stories. We were once on a flight on our way back from Johannesburg to Atlanta. It was a 16-hour flight, longest flight I've ever been on. And Jamal ends up sitting by a girl that comes on last minute. She looked like she was in the bush of Africa, because that's where we were. And looks like she hasn't showered in days. Sits down next to him, has terrible BO. Terrible, the worst body odor ever.
It was rough. Ever.
And the entire flight, the only drinks she ordered were milk and Baileys. Who drinks milk on a plane? I didn't even know they serve milk on a plane.
My mom.
Yeah, well, my mom loves milk. Maybe she wouldn't get on a plane. I don't know, but
Those
nonetheless, she
feels
would have
like
she would have ordered something else. This chick only drank milk. But what makes it worse is, like Brittany said, it was a 16-hour flight, and this isn't necessarily. She's getting to this before she mentioned that the people in front of us were leaning back the entire 16-hour flight, even during meal service. But we're sitting, Brittany's out the window, I'm in the middle, the aisle seat is open. Literally, like the last 2 or 3 people are coming on the plane, and I'm thinking to myself, oh, thank God, I'm not going to have anybody by me the whole flight. And the second to last person that boards the plane, I see her coming, and that's the one. She just looked dirty, looked like she hadn't showered. And I was like, man, please don't sit by me. Please don't sit by me. And she sat by me. And once she sat down, I was like, I couldn't even believe what I was smelling. Like, it was just so bad. And we talked about this before. It's on one of our podcast episodes. I mean, luckily, majority of the flight, she had a blanket on her, and that was the saving grace. It masked most of the odor. But as soon as she would lift her hand to drink her milk and her armpit came out, or to like touch the screen in front to change whatever she was watching, just the whole waft of whatever BO was coming off of her that was trapped under that blanket just escaped. And
Did it have like a
rough.
scent? Was it like garlicky? Was it milky?
I don't know. It was just bad. It smelled like, I don't even know. And then she's drinking milk. Like she's sweating dairy on top of it.
No.
Yeah. So good travel etiquette. Don't be bad. Shower before your flight. Like, please.
Yeah, shower before your flight. Have that courtesy. You're going to be sitting next to someone. Come on. You don't want to be stinky next to them. And I felt like that entire time we were just trapped in, because like Jamal said, the 2 guys that were sitting in front of us, they had the middle seat free. So it was a guy on the window seat and the aisle seat, and they both reclined back on us the entire flight, including meal service. So we're even closer engaged with this BO smelling lady right next to us. We're just like in this little, we're like mustering in it.
Well, see, so they were in the window and aisle, and I was in the middle, so no one was reclining on me. But even during meal service and the entire flight, they were reclining on Brittany. And then they were reclining on the girl with the BO. So here I am, even though it's not on me, like I'm trapped in between the tightness of the reclined seats. And it was pretty rough. But that's another thing. Like, who keeps their seat reclined during meal service?
Who eats like that?
Yeah. Like, I barely have enough room when it's like seat up as it is to like cut or do whatever I need to do with my food. And then you recline back in less space. So, yeah. I mean, when it's mealtime, lift your seat up.
When we flew British Airways from Dubai to London, and when they gave us meal service, the person in front of me was reclined. No fucks given, dude. When the flight attendant walked by, I asked her, is it possible to have the person in front of me lift their seat for meal service so I can have some space? And she looked at me like she couldn't believe like I just asked her to like do that, because she looked like she would probably be uncomfortable asking, which whatever, if she was, then I would have just asked myself. But she like looked at me like I was crazy. She rolled her eyes and then she did it. And I was like, whatever, I don't even care, man. But yeah, don't be afraid to ask. The other thing too is there was something else I was going to say. Oh yeah, I remember we were taking off, and as soon as we took off, the person in front of me reclined their seats. And I remember looking at Brittany and I was like, what the hell is this? Like I could die if the plane crashes, because I'm not going to have an equal shot at getting out of my seat. And that's just
That's what you think about?
Of course,
I mean,
you think about dying.
You know what? That's okay for a better comeback, you know? But like, seriously, dude, wait until you're at the 10,000 feet before you recline your seat. That's just rude.
And
like,
then just reclining in general, I hate when someone just slams the seat back on me. I'm like, oh my gosh. My strategy for reclining my seat is to do it slowly and go like halfway. Wait a minute, like let them get used to the new space, and then slowly go back the rest of the way. Being courteous of the person behind me
if you're going to do it and recline, because no one's saying not to recline. We're just saying don't do it during or before takeoff and landing. Don't do it during meal service. But you're right. People are really abrasive with the pushback. I like your technique, Kim. It's nice and slow and subtle. And sometimes we need a little bit of loving and taking it nice and slow, right? You just do it halfway first, give it a little taste for it, and then slowly but surely all the way.
I think that's what you do to me sometimes.
Sometimes. But no, that's a really good technique. But don't you have a story about middle seat, Kim?
Oh, I always get the middle seat because I don't normally pay to choose my seat. So for some reason, they always give you the middle seat. Hopefully, coronavirus will do away with the middle seat and I won't ever have to sit there again. But yeah, so I either end up with the middle seat because they assign it to me, or I check in super late on Southwest, and that's the only thing that's open when I'm boarding in the last group. But, you know, if you have the middle seat, you don't have the window and you don't have the aisle. And those two people have their own armrests on their sides. So give the middle person the armrest. Like, scoot your body over and be considerate. I can't tell you the amount of times I get sat in the middle next to larger people who are just hogging up the middle armrest, and I'm like sitting there like a little caterpillar in a cocoon. Like, come on.
I just want to know which seat you were in when you were on the flight where you fell asleep on that lady.
I was in the middle seat. Yes, I was.
You can't control that. They had seat, and that was nice. They'd let you rest on them, so they had good. Right? I mean, somebody could have just like brushed the shoulder off and been like, "Bitch, get off me." But you had a nice person.
Yeah, I think that's happened to me before too. And instead of waking them up or being rude, I got up to go to the bathroom, so it woke them up naturally.
Yeah.
Very, very good etiquette of me.
One thing I want to say about going to the bathroom, only because you mentioned it, is if you're sitting in the window and middle and somebody gets up to go to the bathroom, you should probably get up at that time too. Even if you don't really have to go, you could probably go. That way you're not always crawling over them. But same goes if you're on the outside on the aisle and you're never really getting up because you don't have to go to the bathroom. Like, don't give somebody a dirty look when they ask you to get up. Like, have that travel etiquette. They're going to have to come back and sit by you. And you want them to think like, look at this dick. He didn't even want me to go to the bathroom. Like, being so mean, you know?
And when you get up, don't pull on the seat in front of you and pull that person down. Use your core strength like a human and stand yourself up gently.
Get your crunch game on for your core so that you can stand up without pulling somebody's seat. Is that what you're saying? Yeah?
So you're strong for your flight.
Or your push-ups.
I don't know. Push-ups help you with that one, but maybe.
That's strength too, man.
Also, do your Kegels on like
for that Mile High Club.
I was gonna say, do your Kegels to like control your pelvic strength, because I can't tell you how many people fart on planes.
Ew.
While we're traveling.
Oh God.
The best one was when we were flying to Japan. Like, someone like every 5 minutes was like a bomb. Like, it was so bad. In fact, it was hella funny too, though. Like, it was bad. Like, whoever was farting was like crop dusting us. We were like, it was disgusting, and we couldn't figure out who it was. So it killed me, because it was Jamal at the window, Brittany in the aisle, and then I was right next to them in the aisle. And then Brittany's niece was right behind her. And so as we're trying to figure who it is figure out who's farting, Brittany keeps turning behind her. And then finally she asks her niece, Stasia, do you smell that? And go ahead, Brittany.
She said, yeah, I smell it, but I thought it was you and that you were looking back to check my reaction. And I was like, I thought it was one of you, because she was sitting right next to my mom. And I thought maybe it could be like wafting up from them, but it was like all encompassing. We couldn't tell if it was coming from in front of us, behind us, to the side of us. It was just like a fart bubble over our section of the plane, though.
I mean, somebody was doing it. We were all sitting together in a cluster, and like Brittany said, at one point, Deja thought like it could have been one of us, you know, up front doing it. We thought it could have been one of them, but somebody around us. And, you know, it's like, I get it. You're on a plane. Sometimes it's tough to hold things in, but if you know they're coming out smelling like that, just like have a little bit of respect, like no shame. Like, come on, like no shame. I don't
like,
think
it was so funny because like, as soon as the smell clears, and it took a few minutes to like finally clear the air, then all of a sudden it's like this slow, like increasing smell, and you're like, oh shit, again, and then it like dissipates, and then like slowly comes, and it's like another fart bubble, and it was just like non-stop for 9 hours.
Well, you know who was a rule breaker on this and no farting on the plane? I think it was Kim when we were going to Vegas.
It wasn't me on that flight. I don't fart, first of all.
I'm just
Second
kidding.
of all, I think it was whoever was sitting in front of Brittany.
Honestly, it was whoever was in front of us or behind us. I'm just joking, throwing you under the bus, Kim. I know it wasn't you, but we were on party flight from San Diego to Vegas. But no, we weren't going to Vegas to party. It was the last flight out of the evening, and we were just using Vegas as a launching point because we were going to go hike at Bryce Canyon, and we were going to drive from there. But somebody was farting on that flight too, just like super bad. And it's like, okay, again, I get it. You might not be able to like hold it in. You let one out, but if you let it out and discover that they're pretty rancid, who's doing it for the second time? Like
that's a 45-minute flight too. Like,
yeah, it's
wow,
like the whole flight. It was ridiculous.
You know what killed me is like the first time the smell just kind of like just like boom, there's the smell. It's, you know, it's Southwest, so there's aisle 2. So of course, you know, Kim and I are together, aisle, Jamal and Brittany, and we all smell it collectively together, and we just like start laughing like 13-year-olds because we thought it was like it was disgusting, but like so funny. And we're like, someone might think it's us because we are the ones laughing the hardest on the airplane right now.
Hey, if we have to wear masks on planes, it's really going to come in handy for those situations.
It definitely will. Well, it may get worse. People will be like, no, they got masks. They won't be able to smell anything.
No.
But maybe it's not even going to help.
Put some essential oils in your mask. Has a squad tip there.
Some essential
Oh.
oil.
Lavender, wow.
You know, a trick in nursing that we do is if we're going into a very smelly situation, we put some Vicks Vapor Rub under our nose, put our mask on. You'll never know. Smells good the whole time, and your chest will stay clear.
Oh, great.
With that squad tip from Brittany for the next time you travel on a plane with a face mask. That's a good one.
Oh, you're going to be traveling on airplanes for a long time with a face mask.
I definitely do think so. But as unpleasant as a face mask will be on a flight, you know, it's even more unpleasant on a flight, and really bad travel etiquette from parents is not controlling your children.
Mm-hmm.
I can't tell you how many times I've been on a plane where the kids are either like kicking or hitting the back of the seat. Very few times, but I've seen it, them running up and down the aisles. And just like, again, I'm not a parent. I've never been to that level where I'm just like, fuck this. I mean, they're going to do what they want to do. I'm just tired. And I'm sure people get there, but come on a plane, like, who lets them run up and down?
That's wild.
I know. So control your children. Don't be that person, because you'll be talked about just like we're talking about you. I don't know you by name, but I've seen several of you on planes, and I'm talking directly to you now. Like, you're the assholes that let your kids run up and down the aisle on the plane.
Can you imagine if an adult was doing that, running up and down the aisle like a psycho?
No, they would be kicked off the plane. Or the private, like, air marshal who's ever flying on these planes would probably have to arrest that person or something.
Adults couldn't get away with kicking, punching, running up and down the aisles. Those are all things. Can we arrest babies? Can we put them in like a little airplane playpen?
You know what? Sometimes like when people are pushing up against my seat, then I just like push back.
It's a good
Passive
point.
aggressive.
Is there anything else you ladies can think of about etiquette on a plane that you want to
If
share?
you're pink, don't take off your shoes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Are we going to talk about the landing process?
Oh, yep.
Big one.
Yes. Why don't you bring it up then, Brittany, since you reminded us?
So, I mean, when you get off the plane, it should be in an orderly fashion. Be polite. When the people in front of you get up to go, you go right behind them. I hate when you're about to get off a plane and everyone just stands up and bum rushes the aisles and they try to get in front of you. And you're like, can we just please do this in a calm, orderly fashion?
I know. You get up and you run up and it's like, it saves you what, 1-2 minutes? Like you really need that 1 or 2 minutes.
Right. And sometimes I don't stand up right away all the time because it's like, I'm going to sit here for just 1 extra second because it's going to do me no good to stand up anyways. My head's going to hit the top. People are trying to pull down their stuff from the overhead bins. And I hate when you just take that 1 extra moment to like get your stuff out of the overhead bins. Like if people are watching you in that moment, when you have to get your the stuff down, they're like, does she need help? Is she going to go now? And they try to like pass you in that process. And I'm like, hold on. It's going to take me like 1 extra second, guys.
Yeah. Let the person in the aisle in front of you go first, like aisle by aisle.
Aisle by aisle.
Yeah, and I'm not saying, like Brittany is saying, sometimes she doesn't stand. No one's saying don't necessarily stand. It's been a long flight. You want to stand. If you want to stand crouched, that's up to you. But to get up and then try to like bypass people in rows in front of you, like that's ridiculous. You know, you're in the back of the plane or behind somebody, just take your turn, be courteous. You're going to get off the plane faster if people do that versus you trying to cut up because you're really not even going to save that much time. That's for sure.
And I know we're like talking about bad etiquette right now, but on the plus side, when a man sees me struggling to get my bag out of the overhead bin, I absolutely love when they step in and do it for me. So keep that up. If you're cute, especially keep it up.
Keep it up.
You're going to talk to them after the fact, Kim? Be like, ooh, I'm staying at this hotel here. All right. So anything else about the planes then, ladies?
Yeah, you know what? I used to do this even before the whole corona outbreak, but I would always bring Clorox wipes onto the airplane to wipe down the tray, pull down tray and the armrests and all of that stuff. So yeah, I just always do that. And I remember one time Jamal looked at me and he's like, "Is that industrial?" And he kind of like shamed me for bringing in just regular Clorox wipes. So I don't know what your guys' opinions are about that, but I don't know. Maybe it's changing now that the whole corona thing is
now.
Well, maybe in the days and current status of Rona, it's a little bit different. But before it and just the general sanitation and sanitizing of it, it's great. But some of the ones are lightly scented or scented with something else. Like you just open it, it's like somebody just opened a bottle of straight bleach and dumped it all over the place. And I was like, whoa, that's like a little abrasive on my nostrils right now, you know?
Hey, that could be why we didn't get corona in January when we came back from Dubai.
Thank you, Dana.
It could be. It could be.
Wait, one more thing that I want to say is I remember reading an article and a flight attendant, it was like Flight Attendants Tell All, and they were saying that you would be surprised at how many people put dirty diapers in the pouch in front of you, the seat in front of you. And so I just wanted to say that if you are one of the people who puts a dirty diaper in the pouch in front of you in that seat, you are an animal and you are disgusting. Like you are just absolutely disgusting.
I have seen people not put a diaper in the front seat in front of them, but put like their trash in front, napkins, their cups. And even when the flight attendants come around to collect the trash, they just leave it there. And I'm like, can you just hand it over to them and save them the time and not be a disgusting human?
Yeah, because 1, it's disgusting. 2, they're trying to take it from you already. And 3, when you don't give it to them, then it takes them longer to clean the plane, which means it's longer for you to get on the plane, which over time can make a flight be delayed or take off late. So you're just compounding an issue. I mean, if they're coming around taking the trash, like, why aren't you just giving them the trash? I don't understand it.
Give them your trash.
Give them the trash.
See, they stole our trash. Anyways, I don't know. Anyways, so now we've talked all about the airports and the airplanes. So now let's move on to hotels.
So a couple things about the hotels. One is definitely, and this isn't necessarily travel. I mean, it is in a hotel, but it's just in general, tipping is proper etiquette for certain people working in the hotel. So don't have the bad travel etiquette and not. If you're coming in somewhere and you're using the bellhop or and giving them all your luggage and they come up, at least give them a little bit of a tip, especially if you have heavy luggage and everything like that. So definitely do that for sure.
So do you guys tip for room, like what is it? The house cleaner, the house, what is she called?
The maid?
No, makes your bed and cleans your room. Do you guys leave tip for that? I mean, you don't have to like answer yes I do or no I don't, but I mean, like, what are your guys' thoughts?
I definitely have before. I know when I was on a cruise this last time, every day they make up your room twice a day and they make you little animals out of towels, and it's so cute, and the guy is so nice. Anything you need, if I asked for a wine opener, he would give it to me. If I asked for more towel animals, he would give it to me. So yeah, in those cases for sure. And yeah, I mean, I think it depends. It's not something I do 100% of the time, but I think if you can, it creates more good. And then if you do it in the beginning, you're guaranteed better service throughout your whole stay. So you're kind of just building on the positivity from that.
Yeah, for me, it honestly really depends. But what I mean by that is it really depends on where I'm staying. If I'm staying at a nicer hotel, and I'm not saying a nicer hotel deserves the tip, but if I'm staying at a nicer hotel, I want to come back to a cleaner room so I have my room actually cleaned. And therefore, do leave a tip at the end for it, and it's usually a little bit larger. Whereas if I'm not staying at such a nice hotel, I don't really care if my room's clean. So I don't have, if I'm staying 2-3 days, I don't really have them clean my room until checkout for the next person. So I will leave something, just not as much because I haven't had them clean my room continuously. Mm-hmm. So it just really, really depends on where I'm staying. But again, not that the fancier deserves more, but that's just my personal preference of like, if I'm staying at a nicer place, I want my room actually clean.
It also depends on how long you stay at a hotel. There's been several times where we've flown into a city super, super late, only to sleep there for 5 hours, pack up our stuff and leave, and really not use any of the amenities in the room.
Right.
Yeah. Like that Love Shack hotel in Las Vegas before we left for Bryce.
We were literally there for like 5 hours.
Yeah. I mean, another thing about the hotels is definitely be a little quiet when you're walking down the hallways. Sometimes the walls aren't as thick as you would imagine.
Most of the time.
Well, I know that's true. And, if somebody's trying to sleep and you're just making a ruckus going up and down the halls, and I mean, this could happen anywhere, but I really see this happening in Vegas more often than not. I remember one time Brittany and I were staying at the Rio, and our hotel room was right by the elevator. And, Vegas is a party city. Everyone's just being super loud. And I get sometimes, they've had some drinks and letting their inhibitions run wild a little bit, but try to calm it down. People are sleeping. Not everybody in Vegas is 24/7. That's for sure.
Leave the elevator with grace and elegance.
Yes. Anything else about the hotels?
Not that I can think of.
No other horror stories.
All right, so what's next?
Bus, metros, train. Basically, public transportation.
Yeah, they can get really crowded. So if, as a young person or a gentleman, or really any person, if there's somebody that's disabled or somebody that's older, like offer your seat to them if there's no other places to sit. That's just kind of in general, no matter where you are, but especially on transportation like that.
Absolutely. And shout out to Japan, because I, had a lovely time in Japan, love the people, love the culture. But That's an everyday thing for them. They even have signs on the metro and subways pretty much saying like an older person comes, like this is their designated seat, you have to give it up. And I would do that anyway, but that's something that they do in general as a culture, which you don't find everywhere else. So if you happen to not be in Japan, definitely get up and give it to the elder or anyone who has any sort of physical disability so they don't have to stand. I mean, it's a lot better that way, and good travel etiquette and good human being etiquette, as a matter of fact. But I'm seeing something here that someone put, don't lick the poles. And I'm quite intrigued by this. I mean, this is like in the show notes and discussion points when we saw bring a change of underwear to something, and no one wants to admit who put that. So
Well, I put it on there.
No,
not the change of underwear.
You sure?
Yeah, that was you.
No.
But I did put on the show notes, don't lick the pole that people have to touch or hold on to while you ride public transport. And I do have a story. It was actually here in San Diego. San Diego has a trolley line. I was riding it, I think, to class when I was going to school downtown. There was only a few times where I actually did ride the trolley. But while I was on the ride, I was sitting there minding my own business, sitting in my cute little seat, and there was a guy that was getting on the trolley. He had a can of compressed air, and he was releasing the air and doing whippets.
Oh.
Doing the whippets and spraying some out and then licking the pole. Like, here's the pole that you hold on to. And he's like, licking it. And I'm like,
I want to screenshot that picture.
And then we would get to the next trolley stop. He would get out, do more whippets, and then come back on the trolley and had this like whole process all over again. He mostly did the whippets outside of like inside the trolley. He would step out on the platform before we would take off again and do the whippet and then get back on the trolley.
Wow.
Lick the pole. Well, one, you don't want to do that in the Corona age, but even before that, you wouldn't even want to do that in general. That is absolutely disgusting. Like,
so many hands.
I mean, that guy been high or something, you know, like on some type of.
He was doing whippets.
He was doing whippets. Of course, he was high.
Okay, never mind. Speaking of the trolley, make sure you pay your fee to ride the trolley. I remember, like, I've only been to traffic school or to court for turning over double yellow lines. I didn't know that you couldn't turn over double yellow lines. The only time I've ever been to court. And let me tell you, they called me last, so I saw every single person ahead of me go. Like 95% of the people at court that day were caught for not paying for the trolley. And it's like a $350 to $400 fine here in San Diego. I'm like, that's crazy. So make sure you pay your trolley fee because they do catch you, and that shit's expensive.
It's just good karma to pay for things when you should pay for things in general. But yeah.
And the trolley fee is like $3.
I also saw someone who was there because he jaywalked, and that's a $350 fine if anyone's interested.
I actually got a jaywalking ticket in Davis, California on picnic day.
On picnic day of all days.
That's a big day of ticketing for Davis police.
That's crazy. But yeah, just in general, like, buses and trains and metros can get really crowded. So just be considerate of like pushing. I've been shoved before, and like it can be crowded. So like don't get upset at the crowding. Just kind of, you know, try to live with it. And yeah.
Jamal's actually got his phone stolen on trying to get on a metro. We didn't even make it on.
That's what I was talking about earlier when we were leaving Mexico City, and I got it stolen. So it definitely happens when it's crowded in there. But that's one thing I want to say. It's not just Mexico. I've seen it all over the world, again, except for in Japan. Really
so courteous.
But, and I get if nobody else is doing it, it's hard to do it because then you're probably never going to get on. But I love in Japan how they let everybody who wants off at the station off first before anyone who's on the platform tries to even get into the train. And so if you can do that to create a little bit of more proper orderly function to the boarding process, I would recommend doing it. But again, I get that it's hard if nobody else is doing it and you're like, I'm not going to get on. So kind of have to do what you have to do, but proper etiquette if you can to do that. So
yeah. I would say keep your hands to yourself as well. Doesn't need to be named where I was at, but I was wearing a skirt and I felt the palm or like this front of the hand up against the back of my thigh because up the back of that's my thigh. While I was on the trolley, and I was like, okay, calm down. It's a crowded trolley. It was probably an accident. And then I felt it again. So now I'm just like, oh, it's okay. It's okay. We're going to get off on the next stop. So when we got off the next stop, it wasn't Japan because everyone was like pushing off and pushing on. So I was being pushed off, and that guy who was touching me lifted my skirt, snapped my thong, and I was pushed off of the subway at the same time. So I was in mid-air with the skirt flipped up over my butt, and I like flashed every single person. And I definitely punched that guy. And and he's like, I don't speak English. And so I responded back, no problem, I speak your language. And I called him a pig, and then I chased him out of the subway area. And then
That is so funny.
and it's so funny because I was with one of my girlfriends, and so she was like, what happened? I turn around and all of a sudden I see you hitting and screaming at a guy. And I was like, let's get out of here because I don't want to get arrested. Keep your hands to yourself.
well, that's on travel etiquette. That's degrading human etiquette. That's pretty terrible in general. But yeah.
Is there anything else we have, guys?
No,
Final thoughts?
not that I can think of. Just we're talking travel etiquette, but if I'm going to be honest, this is human being etiquette all around too. So just good karma out there in the world. We need it. Do it. Be a good person. That good's going to come back to you. And that's all I really have to say about that.
Yeah, for sure. And bad etiquette versus good etiquette can really make the difference in your own trip, as well as the people that you come into contact with. But having a good attitude, being courteous, doing good, and putting that out there, like, rewards you and makes your trip more memorable too.
Something bad happens to you, just smile and say it's all a part of the travel experience.
That's true.
That is true.
Go with the flow.
Well, that's all that we have for you guys. So thank you guys so much for tuning in on Travel Tuesday.
Make sure to click the subscribe button right below and get all of our new episodes that we have coming out, our videos and podcasts as we start putting them out again.
Yeah, and don't forget, guys, to do check out the podcast. We have over 40 episodes ready for you guys to listen. Hopefully right now you give it a listen. It will inspire you to take one of the trips that we've taken and we've talked about once quarantine's over for you guys.
Yes. And if you found this information useful, or if you thought we were just plain funny, please share it with every single person you know, and don't be afraid to let us know in the comments below.
Yes.
Thank you guys.
Bye,
Bye.
everybody.
Bye, guys.